Hello, folks, and welcome back to the Shack. This is Joe N2DI coming to you today with something completely different. Most of my operations in ham radio take place in the HF part of the spectrum, but today we're going to talk about digital voice modes in VHF and UHF. I'm talking about modes like D-Star, DMR, and Yaesu system fusion. For those of you who aren't familiar with these modes, they're digital modes that can take the place of FM on an analog repeater, but they can do a little bit more. If you have a repeater in your area that supports one of these digital modes and you happen to have a radio that supports the same mode, then you have the ability to connect to reflectors, rooms, or talk groups all around the world. And if you don't have a repeater in your area, then you can pick up one of these, a hotspot. It's a digital radio internet gateway. Using a hotspot and your own Wi-Fi connection, either your home internet connection or from your cell phone, you can have a radio gateway to the world from your HT. If you don't know what any of that means and you want to learn more, I'm going to show you how to set up one of the best hotspots, the OpenSPOT4 Pro, with one of the best HTs in the market right now, the Kenwood TH-D75. I'm going to show you how to connect with people around the world. So if that sounds good to you, then let's get started. I've carved this video up into chapters, so if you just want to know how to set up the OpenSPOT4 Pro and how to configure the TH-D75, then just skip ahead. For everyone else who has no idea what I'm talking about, or for folks who just want to learn more, then I'm going to use the next few chapters to catch you up and explain what this is all about. Now, D-Star, DMR, and Yaesu system fusion, also known as C4FM, are all digital modulation modes. Just like FM, AM, or sideband are analog modulation modes. And these modes aren't the only digital modulation modes that are out there. There's others like P25, NXDN, and Tetra, but D-Star, DMR, and C4FM are the most popular in ham radio. ICOM and Kenwood make radios that use D-Star. Yaesu obviously makes radios that are used for Yaesu system fusion, and companies like Anytone, TYT, Baofeng, and Hytera make DMR radios. Unfortunately, these different digital modes don't work with each other. You can't just key your Kenwood HT using D-Star modulation and talk to someone using a Yaesu HT running C4FM modulation. There are ways to bridge that gap, but let's get started at the beginning. This is going to be a broad generalized 10,000-foot view. To use these modes originally, if you had, say, a Kenwood or an ICOM D-Star radio and a repeater in your area that you could hit that supported D-Star, then you could just use it like any other FM repeater. Everyone using D-Star on the D-Star repeater would hear everyone else. Great. But it also has some other tricks. You could send control commands from your HT, and I'm sorry if I keep referring to HTs because you could do this with a compatible mobile rig too. So when I say HT, I also mean a mobile rig as well. Anyway, you can send control commands to link the repeater to a reflector. Now, a reflector is like a conference call bridge or an internet chat room, or if you're old like me, a party line. It's basically a server on the internet that reflects back what it hears to everyone else that's connected to it. It's like a repeater on the internet. So you're using RF to get to the repeater, but the repeater is basically converting your voice over RF to voice over IP, and it routes it over the internet to that reflector that you've connected to. D-Star calls these internet reflector things reflectors. Yaesu calls them reflectors or rooms. And in DMR, they're also slightly different, but are called talk groups. But they're all basically the same thing. So I'm going to use the D-Star term for it, reflector. But when I refer to reflector, I also mean rooms or talk groups or whatever. Now, there's reflectors for entire countries or for things as small as individual interests. There's reflectors for individual states in the US. There's reflectors for groups of states. There's reflectors for folks looking to make international DX contacts. There's reflectors for everything. It's endless. Now, because the grass is always greener somewhere else, folks went about trying to bridge these networks. Remember, D-Star, C4FM, and DMR don't work together. So folks went about trying to make reflectors that could bridge over to the other networks, like to Yaesu system fusion from D-Star and the other way around, and to DMR and so on. The bridge would seamlessly translate the modulation mode so that everyone can chat. I mean, that's kind of the point of ham radio anyway, right? In addition to all that, the problem that a lot of folks ran into was they couldn't hit a repeater in their area, or the repeater in their area used a digital modulation mode that the radio didn't support. So the hotspot was invented. And if you think about it, why do you even need a repeater to get to the internet when most people have their own internet connection in their home or in their pocket in the form of a cell phone? So this is why the hotspot was born. The idea of a hotspot is it's a device that takes place of the repeater. It connects to your Wi-Fi and it listens on a specific frequency for your HT. It takes your D-Star or DMR or Fusion control commands and it connects you to a reflector on the internet. And then when you key your HT and you talk, it takes the RF signal from your HT and it converts it and routes it over the internet to your connected reflector. And when someone on the reflector responds, it routes it all back over the internet, back to your hotspot, and converts it back to RF so your HT can pick it up. It's like a worldwide Rube Goldberg machine. And by the way, you don't need to be wearing an orange parka to get this to work either. Now, to make things more fun, some of these hotspots, like the OpenSPOT4 Pro, allow you to cross mode. That means that they translate your modulation mode on the fly to other modes. So you could use, say, your D-Star HT to talk on a Yaesu System Fusion reflector or a DMR talk group, or the other way around. It's also important to know that not every hotspot can do this, so don't run out and buy the cheapest one you can find. The OpenSPOT4 Pro cross modes, but all hotspots are not created equal, so do your homework before you buy anything. Also, most of you are probably wondering, well, which one is better? Is D-Star the best, or DMR, or C4FM? Well, sound-wise, I honestly can't tell the difference. Maybe there's some audiophiles out there that can, but I can't. I'm just your average Joe. They all sound like you've got a good connection to an FM repeater, but you don't get any scratchy or staticky connections. They all either sound good or they don't work at all. I mean, you may hear like bleeps and bloops, sometimes called R2D2ing, that sound kind of like when you're on a cell phone call and the other end sounds robotic for a minute just before they drop. It's like that. So either you'll hear the other person or you won't. And the reason why you won't is maybe there's latency on your internet connection or someone else's internet connection, or there's an issue with the reflector. But either the connection is there or it's not. Now, as far as simplicity to use and understand, I think, and this is my opinion only, that D-Star and Yaesu System Fusion are the easiest to understand. You don't really need to do a whole heck of a lot on the radios to get it to work. D-Star is a little bit more complicated, and there's more radio programming that you have to do. Now, as far as cost goes, then DMR is probably the cheapest because you have a lot of radio manufacturers like the Baofangs of the world making DMR radios. For the other modes, though, you don't need to get a super expensive radio. You don't have to get a flagship model. Anyone that supports the protocol will do. The Yaesu FT70DR can be had new for around 130-ish bucks in the US if you know where to look. The ICOM ID50 is also a great radio from what I hear, and that's more of a middle-of-the-road model, so you're going to obviously pay more. And right now, for Kenwood, all that's out is their flagship model. It's the TH-D75, which packs all kinds of features in. And if you're not going to use all of those features, like the KISS TNC and all of that, then it's not worth the cost, honestly. If you're going to use all those features, then yeah, go for it, right? It's the best, most feature-packed radio, I should say feature-packed HT there is in the market now. Now, there are some important details that you're going to need to get started. To use these networks, you have to register with them. Now, I know what you're thinking, but it's not really that hard. Basically, they want to check to make sure that you're a licensed ham before they'll give you access to the network. And if you want to cross mode from one network to another, you're going to need to register with both of them. So if you want to go from like a D-Star to DMR, you're going to have to register with both networks. Now, I'm going to show you how to register with 3. If you're going to set up the OpenSPOT4 Pro with the Kenwood TH-D75, you're going to need a D-Star registration. You don't have to do the others if you're not going to cross mode to them. Okay, but I'm going to show you how to register with all 3. Now for D-Star, navigate to the D-Star registration gateway. The link will be in the description below. Maybe I'll flash it up on the screen here for you to see it, but it'll be in the description below. Read the instructions that I highlighted red in the screenshot, and I mean really read them. Click register and agree to the terms by selecting yes, I agree, or something like that. Then you fill out an application form. They're going to ask for your call sign, which you should give in all caps, your full name, your email address, and password. Confirm the password, click OK, and it's going to say, are you sure? And you click OK, and off it goes. Now you have to wait for approval. Your registration request is reviewed by humans, so it's going to take a while to verify your call sign. It can take anywhere from a couple of hours to a few days, and you'll receive an email when your request is approved. So that's the first step, okay? The second step is you have to create a terminal or a space ID. So when you get your approval email, log back in and go to personal information. Now you're going to see a screen that looks kind of like this. you're going to see a bunch of numbered lines. And again, this is all explained in the instructions too. So the first thing you want to do is check the box to the left of the 1 to kind of activate that line. And in the box under initial, type a single space by pressing the space bar once. This is extremely important. And even though it might look blank on the screen, that's exactly what you need to do. Now this creates what's called the Space ID terminal, which is the most common and recommended setup for general use. Again, do not check the RPT or access point checkboxes, okay? Then go down to line 2 and check the box to the left of line 2. It will activate that line. Now in that box, type a single capital Z and check the access point checkbox. Don't check RPT. And this is for your hotspot. Then you can click update or submit, whatever it says at the bottom of the page, and you'll get a confirmation that it's processing. Now those terminal entries are going to take some time to propagate across the D-Star network. It could be a couple of hours or it could be several hours. You just have to be patient and wait. Once that propagates though, you're done. And you only have to do that once for your call sign. You'll never have to do that again. Yaesu's network is called WiresX, but you don't have to register with the WiresX network to use a Yaesu System Fusion reflector, or sometimes referred to as a YSF reflector. You can just connect to it directly from a hotspot. But if you want to use a C4FM WiresX repeater, then you have to register with the WiresX network. Now to do that, the first thing you have to do is get your radio ID from your radio settings menu. They're slightly different on all the radios, but there's going to be a unique set of letters and numbers, kind of like a serial number that identifies your specific radio. Once you have that, write that down and go to the Yaesu WiresX member registration page. Again, the link will be in the description below. There you're going to input your email address and hit send. Yaesu will send you an email with a link to the registration form. So when you get that, click on that link and fill out the form. Typically what they're going to ask for is your email address, your call sign, your name, your contact information, and they're going to want to know if you're registering a node, which is basically your radio ID. Agree to the terms and conditions, submit register, and in a couple of days you'll get a confirmation email that you're registered. That's pretty much it. And remember, that's only if you want to use the WiresX network, which you don't have to if you're using a hotspot. For DMR, it's a little more convoluted because you're going to need a DMR ID, but you're also probably going to want to register with the BrandMeister network because they're a popular DMR network that have a lot of interesting talk groups. So it's more of a 2 or 3 step process. So the first thing you're going to need to do is get your DMR ID, which is issued by radioid.net. Again, the description is down below. Go to that page and click register. Fill out the required information, including your call sign and email address. You're also going to have to verify your amateur radio license. That means you're going to have to download a copy of it, a PDF copy of it, from the FCC's website and upload it to radioid.net. Once you do that and your license is verified, you'll get your DMR ID. The process can take a day or 2 because it's a manual review process. Also, it's important to know before you try to get your BrandMeister account, you're going to want to make sure that it says verified in your radio ID account. Now, once you have your DMR ID, you're going to have to register with the BrandMeister network, and that is brandmeister.network. The link will be down below. Click on register and enter your call sign and your email address and your DMR ID that you got from radioid.net. For the account type, when they ask, it's a personal account. And then they're going to ask for you to set up a password and confirm your password. And there's going to be an anti-spam question. And the answer to that is 70, the number 70. Also, you're going to have to verify that you're not a robot with the CAPTCHA and click register. Now, you're going to receive an email that's trying to confirm your email address. So open that up and click on the link. After you confirm your email, your account will be in the review status state. So a BrandMeister team member at that point is going to review and activate your account. You also have to be patient here because it's a volunteer effort. It takes a while. It takes a few hours to 48 hours. Now, once it's activated, you'll receive another email confirming that your account is ready. Okay, so now we're on to the last step. If you're going to use BrandMeister from your hotspot, you're going to need a BrandMeister self-care password, so your hotspot can log into a BrandMeister server. It's pretty simple. All you have to do is click on the self-care, log into your BrandMeister account, click the self-care portal, and then look for the hotspot security section and create a password. All you have to do is enter a password that you're going to use in your OpenSPOT, save it, and write it down so you could use it in your OpenSPOT. That's it for BrandMeister and DMR ID. Okay, now, so assuming you have registered with all the networks that you want to use, like D-Star and BrandMeister or whatever, the next step is to set up your hotspot. Today, we're going to use the OpenSPOT4 Pro. It's made by Shark RF. The first step is basically you're going to connect to the hotspot and tell it about your home Wi-Fi so it can connect and use that. You only have to set this up once unless you change your home network. Now, the first thing you're going to do is plug it into a USB-C charger and charge the battery. It's going to have an orange light in the upper right corner to show you it's charging. I'm just going to disconnect it to get the wire out of the way. Okay, now once it's all charged up, switch it on by pressing and holding the power button for a second. Wait for the white LED to start flashing slowly, indicating that the device has entered access point mode, and it's broadcasting its own Wi-Fi network called OpenSPOT4 AP. So go into your network settings and find OpenSPOT4 AP and select it. Now this page is going to come up. This is your welcome. Select your country and hit next. Now this is the Wi-Fi setup. Find your home Wi-Fi and click connect. Enter your home Wi-Fi password. And click connect. Now it's going to attempt to see if it can connect to your home network. If you typed anything wrong, it's going to fail. And if you did it correctly, you're going to see this connected page. Now here you click next and OK. It's going to turn off its access point mode and it's going to connect to your home network. So you're going to have to find what its IP address is on your home network. Now for me, I opened my browser and I typed in http://openspot4.lan and it was able to find it. Now, if this doesn't work for you, you could point your browser to sharkrf.link and you'll get this page. And here you can enter the device's UID. Now that's on that sticker on the bottom of the OpenSpot. You can enter that number and hit connect and you're going to get the same exact page here if the OpenSPOT4.lan didn't work for you. Okay. Now here you click got it and you enter your call sign. And below that, you could paste in your DMR ID if you want to use the DMR network. Then you pick what color interface you want to use if you want a light or a dark interface and you click save. Now here you're going to pick the modulation mode that your HT is going to be using. So in my case, I'm using the Kenwood TH-D75, which is a D-Star radio. So I'm going to click the D-Star button here. Now it's going to show you what frequency it's going to be listening on for your HT. So you can change this or just leave the default 433.900 megahertz. Now below that, it's asking you to select the type of network that you want to connect to. So if you want to go to a D-Star reflector, you'd pick ref/XRF. If you want to go to Yaesu system fusion reflector, that would be YSF reflector. And if you want to go to BrandMeister, it's BrandMeister. But I'm just going to pick a standard D-Star reflector for demonstration purposes. Now it's going to ask you for the reflector number and the module. I'm going to pick a quiet reflector, which is ref 01, module A, and click connect. And that's the basic setup. That's it. Now we've entered your call sign and your DMR ID, but we haven't entered your BrandMeister password. So if you want to use the BrandMeister Talk Groups, you're going to have to do that. Now it's not going to prompt you for the BrandMeister password unless you're trying to connect to the BrandMeister network. So to do that, we're going to do the quick setup again. But this time, instead of picking a D-Star reflector, we're going to pick BrandMeister. So we'll click this button down here on the lower right that says quick setup. Again, we're coming from a D-Star radio. We're going to leave this all the same. but we want to connect to BrandMeister. Okay, now there's a couple important things here. One, it's automatically going to have a password, which is something that you're not going to want to use. You're going to want to paste your BrandMeister password right here. Okay? It should have your DMR ID from where you originally entered it. So this should be correct. It should have your call sign. You're going to want to select a server that's in your country. I'm just going to pick something at random here. There's 3 of them in the US. I'll just pick this last one. But it's important also to remember this number, 3104, because if that's the one that you're going to use, you're going to need that in your radio setup. But I'll show you that later. Okay? Once you do that, you click connect. It's going to do its thing. And now you should be able to connect to a BrandMeister Talk group. Now, it's also important to know that your password is saved. So if you run the quick setup again, it's not going to change anything. So let's do that for demonstration purposes and to keep this in D-Star mode. We'll run the quick setup again. We're coming from a D-Star radio. And let's say we want to go to a D-Star reflector. Connect to Ref01 module A. Now, if you ran that setup again and you went back to BrandMeister, the server that you selected would be the same. Your password would still be there. None of that's lost. It's still saved. Okay? So now doing this quick setup is one of the ways that you could switch between different networks. And you could try different radios as well. Okay, so like if you have a Yaesu radio and you want to try C4FM on that first screen, if we do the quick setup again, but I'll just cancel out of it. Instead of clicking D-Star, you could use C4FM if you want to try that. And then you would click your destination and just go from there. Okay, so that's one of the ways of doing it, is rerunning this quick setup. We're going to cancel out here. Now, there are 2 other things that I want to show you. If you want your hotspot to work with your home network and with your cell phone so you could take it on the go, you could set this up as a second Wi-Fi network. Now, to do this, click on the network tab. Okay. Now scroll down till you see this area, wireless scan and wireless settings. So here you see your network ID. What you're going to do is check the advanced mode in the lower right. And you might have to scroll back down again. It's going to open up and show you other slots for other networks. Now here, what you would do, and this is important if you're using an iPhone, because if you're using an iPhone, what you have to do is go into your personal hotspot setting in settings and leave the hotspot page open. Otherwise, this won't work. Now, when it's open, you can hit the scan button here under wireless scan, and hopefully it finds it. So if it finds your phone, which it should, you can click save here. Now, in this screen, it's going to want to know what your phone's hotspot password is. So I'm going to enter that here. The important thing to do here is don't save it in slot 1, because that's your home network. You're going to overwrite it. Pick slot 2, which should say empty, and then hit save. And then hit save at this screen as well. It's going to do some gyrations to connect, and then it's going to come back. But now if you go back here and you look down at the bottom under wireless settings, you're going to see home network and your cell phone. Okay, that's how you do that. You can uncheck the advanced mode button here as well. So now it'll use your home network, but if you grab your hotspot and your HT and you jump in your car and drive away and it loses connection, it'll switch over to your phone. Now, the other thing I want to show you is that the OpenSPOT4 Pro has 10 profiles. And a profile is basically a saved configuration. You can find them under settings here, and you'll see all these profiles, the 10 profiles. Right now, we've been using profile 1, which is the default. Now, you don't have to do this, but this is an option for you. What you can do is, let's say, set up profile 1 to use your D-Star radio with a D-Star network. And then you could copy that to profile 2, but then run the quick setup again and use your D-Star radio, but maybe with the Yaesu System Fusion network. And then copy your profile again to, say, profile 3, and you could set that up to use your D-Star radio with, like, the BrandMeister network. And then later on, you could switch between the profiles. You can do it either from your HT, the Kenwood TH-D75 can do that, or you could click down here and switch profiles in the lower left where it says profile and select a different profile. And I think there's also a way to do it with a button combination on the OpenSPOT itself. I think you hold down the Wi-Fi button and you press the power button for as many times as the profile number that you want to select. So if you want to pick your second profile, you can just hold the Wi-Fi button down and then click the power button twice to load the second profile. Now you don't have to do this, but it's an option. Okay, I'm just going to show you how to do that really quickly. So if you've got profile 1 set up, it's going to have all your networks and everything. You're going to want to copy that. You just don't want to switch to profile 2 because it won't have all of those settings saved. So you scroll down to this area here where it says copy, and you're going to want to copy profile 1 to, let's say, profile 2. Okay, and then you hit the copy button. Now it's going to copy everything, including the profile name. So here you're going to see in slot 1, it's going to say profile 1, and in profile 2, it's going to say profile 1 because it copied that name as well. You can change that. So let's say if the first profile is for your D star to D star, and your second one, let's say, is going to be your D star radio to Yaesu System Fusion, you could do something like that and then save the names. Now, all you've done really is just save the name of that profile. It's basically the same thing. So you're going to want to switch to profile 2, and then you're going to want to make those changes. Okay. So you could switch down here. You can also, on the settings page, it says that you're in D star to D star right now. So let's switch to Yaesu System Fusion. And then you hit the change button. And then the hotspot is going to basically reboot and load the second profile. Okay. So we wait for it to come back up. But again, now this is just a copy of your first profile. So you're going to want to make the configuration change that you're going to want here. Okay, let's see. It should be loading now. Okay, great. So now we're going to use this for our D-Star radio, but to connect to Yaesu System Fusion Network. So we'll rerun the quick setup. And we're coming from a D-Star radio, and we're going to go to a YSF reflector. And here you could pick the reflector that you want. I don't know, I'll pick, America Link is a good one. And connect. Okay, so now that's saved in profile 2. So now you could go back to profile 1, and it will be D star to D star. Change profile, right? Okay, and it's going to do the same thing. It's going to reboot, but the changes that you made in profile 2 will be saved. So you could switch to 2 if you want to jump to the YSF network from your HT or whatever from your hotspot. All right, again, you don't have to do that, but that's an option. I just wanted to show you how to be able to do that. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to set up the Kenwood TH-D75 to use it with the OpenSPOT4 Pro. Now, this is going to be a basic setup of the radio. There's more setup that you can do for things like APRS and whatnot, but I'm just going to show you how to set it up to have it work with the hotspot and maybe a few other cool tricks. I also want you to know that I just reset the config, which was a painful thing to do, so I hope you guys appreciate this. All right, let's switch on the radio. All right, I'll try to keep this centered. Okay, the first thing you have to do is access menu number 610. Now, you can get to that just by pressing the menu button and keying in 610 on the keypad. And that will take you exactly where you have to go. You can also hunt through the menu with the arrow keys and press enter and whatnot, but this is a quick way of doing it. So now here you're going to want to enter your call sign. You can enter up to 8 characters. So we're going to click edit. And then we'll key in my call sign. Now, once that's done, you hit enter, and it's going to put you over to this other side. This is the memo field. You could put up to 4 characters here. I guess you could put anything you want here, but what I see most people doing is they put the model of their HT or whatever radio they're using. So you see like D75 or 705 or 9700, things like that. Okay, so we're going to put in D75 here. Now, when you're entering characters, you can use the keypad here and press them over and over again like an old school phone, or you could just rotate the knob up here at the top. Okay. Once we do that, we're going to hit enter. And now your call sign is registered. Now to back out of menus, you can hit the back arrow here, or you could just do a quick key, a quick press of the PTT to get you out. Okay. Now you don't have to do this, but I'm going to switch to single channel mode so the screen is not so cluttered and it's less confusing. So I'm just going to do that by hitting the F key and then dual. Okay. Now we're going to want to switch the HT into digital mode. So you can do that by hitting the mode button here. Now there's two digital modes. There's DR, which you can see in the upper left here, and there's DV. DV is used for like simplex communications. We're going to want DR. Now the next step is to add the hotspot into the hotspot list. So we're going to go to menu 230. Menu 230. Okay. There's no hotspot here, so we're going to add one. You hit the menu button. And then add. So now I'm going to name this OS4 for OpenSPOT4. Press the enter key so you could edit that field. And we could start typing. And then we hit enter. We could skip this subname field. And then we go down to the RPT1 field. Here you can press enter. And you're going to want to add your call sign. And you're going to want to move all the way over to the right as far as you can go. And look at the bottom of the screen here. You'll see we're at character 4 of 8. You want to go all the way over to the last character. And you're going to want to enter a capital B. And then press enter. Now we're going to scroll down a little bit. Now in RPT2, we're going to edit that. Put your call sign again. Now you're going to want to move all the way over as far as you can to the right. And when you're at the end there, you're going to want to enter a single capital G. Now hit enter. We'll scroll down further. Here on frequency, you're going to want to enter the frequency that your hotspot's going to be using. So in our case, that's going to be 0433900000. Okay. Scroll down. Shift you can leave off. But for some reason, you have to enter an offset here. And since we're not really shifting, we could just enter a bunch of zeros. And everything else you could leave blank and just hit the AB button here to write. Okay, so now your hotspot is saved. Now we can back out. Now we're going to want to select the hotspot. So you press and hold this down arrow. When you press and hold the down arrow, you're going to select where you're coming from, like a hotspot or a repeater or something. And when you press and hold the up arrow, you're selecting the location that you want to go to, like a reflector. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So we're going to select the hotspot. So I'm going to press and hold the down arrow here. We'll go down to the hotspot list, press enter. There's our entry. We'll pick that. Okay, so that's set now. Now, also at this point, you could set your HT instead of using high power, and you can see there's an H up there in the upper left. That means I'm using high power. We can change that by pressing the F key and then pressing the menu key. And we're going to want to set that to EL for extra low power. Why? Because the RF only has to go from here to here. That's it. That entire inch. Or maybe you have it on a desk next to you or something like that, a couple of feet. So you don't need to blast the front end of the OpenSPOT with high power. You can also use one of these doodads, one of these tiny antennas. I've never used this in the field. I don't know how well they work. It kind of looks like a dummy load to me. But again, you're only going from here to here, right? So you don't need a great antenna and you don't need a ton of power. Okay, now let's see how to link to a D-star reflector. We're going to press and hold the up arrow here. And we're going to select reflector. And then you're going to press enter here. Okay. Now we're going to link to a reflector. Now here it's asking you what type of reflector you want to use. There are a few different kinds. There are ref, XRF. If I turn the knob up here, you'll see it'll change. DCS, ref, these are different technologies, okay? Ref came first, then I believe DCS came next. Oh no, I'm sorry, it was XRF, then DCS, then XLX. These are different types of reflectors that bridge networks, things like that. Your standard D-star reflector is going to be ref, and here we're going to pick the reflector number. I'm just going to pick 1 alpha because that's a quiet reflector. Okay. Once you select that and you press enter and okay. Now it hasn't actually done anything. What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to key the PTT for like a second, and that's going to send the command to the OpenSPOT to do the linking. Okay. And then I'll turn up the volume a bit. You should hear it announce what it's done.
OpenSPOT connected to REF001 alpha.
Okay, so now it's connected. Now there's some other things you can do. You can unlink the reflector, you can do an echo test, or you can get reflector information. So if you don't know what reflector you're on, you can select that, hit the PTT for a second.
OpenSPOT connected to REF001 alpha.
Okay. Let's go back in there again. You can do an echo test. Now, when you select echo test, you can key the PTT and you can talk into it. And it's not going to actually send it to the reflector. It's going to reflect it back to you. And nobody on the reflector should hear this. And you'll be able to hear what you sound like. So you can just key the mic and talk and make sure that your mic gain's set correctly or whatever. Okay, now once you've linked to a reflector and you actually want to use it to talk to someone, you have to select use reflector. Now the next time I key the PTT, now I can actually talk to someone. Okay, so first you link to it and then you use it. When you're done, you're going to want to unlink.
OpenSPOT special connector active.
Okay, the special connector is a null connector, which means you're basically not connected to anything. So whenever you hear that, you're not connected. Okay, so that's how you would link, do an echo test, get some information, unlink, and use the actual reflector. Now you can also find information on reflectors that you might want to connect to at dstarinfo.com/reflectors.aspx. I'll add that link in the description below as well. Okay, but there are two that are pretty popular. There is Ref001 Charlie, which is an international reflector, and Ref030 Charlie, which is a US reflector that has a lot of traffic on it as well. So you could try those two out. Now you can also transmit a text message along with your D-Star connection, and that text will pop up on other folks' screens, and it happens when you key your mic to talk. So some people like to add their name, their location, whatever in that field. Okay, so to do that, that's menu 610. I'm sorry, it's menu 611. Okay, here it's set to off. You can go in here, select one of these, edit, and add some text. Now, once that's saved and it's selected, every time I key my mic, everybody will see my call sign with the /D75, and then usually like the line below it will say Joe, New Jersey. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to enter or basically save some useful control commands that you could send to your hotspot. And you're going to save them in your call sign list. so that when you key your mic, it's going to send these codes and you'll get some interesting things happen. Okay. Now, to get to the call sign list, it's in the menu. You're going to press menu. And it's that top one right there. You can also get to key it directly. It's menu 220. Okay, now there's nothing in the list, so we're going to add something. Okay, so basically you're going to want to add some text that describes what the control command does, so you know what you're keying and sending. And in the call sign field is where you'll enter the command. Okay, so it'll make sense in a minute here. So here we're going to edit the name field, and we're going to add profile. And we're going to hit enter to save that. Now call sign, we're going to scroll all the way over to the right as far as we can go. And we're going to enter a single capital letter P. And save that. Now we're going to write it. Okay, now we're going to add a few more, but I'm just going to give you a quick demo on how that works. So now if we get out, and you press and hold the up button, here instead of selecting a reflector, you're going to want to pick individual. Now you press that, and you're going to see what is actually going to be sent, but you can toggle it to the name. So you press the AB button here, and here it'll say profile now. So now when you select this and you key the mic, it's going to tell you what profile you're using.
OpenSPOT Profile 1 ready.
So we're using profile 1. So now if you're switching between profiles and you forgot which one you're on, you could just go and select profile and key the mic and it'll tell you. Now let's get back in there and add a couple more. Okay, that time I used a shortcut. I just hit menu and then I typed in 220. So here, let's say you want to select a different profile. You can do that just by entering a number for the profile. So here, name, we'll call it, let's say, I don't know, profile 1. Actually, let's just call it P1 because, you know, it's going to take forever for me to do this. Press enter. And the code that we're going to send in call sign is going to be the number 1. And we're going to write that. Now let's add another one. This time we're going to do P2 for profile 2. Okay, and I'll demo that in a minute, but let's add a couple more. So sometimes it's useful to know the IP address of the OpenSPOT. So say, for instance, you took your OpenSPOT with you and you're in your car and you're using your phone and you want to connect to it. You're going to need to know the IP address to type in your web browser to get to it. So if you add a control command with a capital A, it'll tell you what the IP address of the OpenSPOT is. So let's add that. And that, again, we move all the way over to the right. And that is a single capital A. Let's write that. Also, and I found this out from experience, it would be useful to know how much battery you have left. And that command is a single capital B. Let's write that as well. So now you're starting to get an understanding of for why resetting the config on this radio was so painful for me to do at the start of this video. Okay, let's get out of the menu and demo some of this, okay? We're going to press and hold the up arrow. We're going to go to an individual. And now remember, you can toggle between the actual code that you're sending or the name. Okay, so let's do something easy like battery.
OpenSPOT battery 74%.
So it's 74%, and you can actually see here in the lower left, it says battery 74%. It'll actually show you the IP address as well and read it out to you. Let's go and try the IP address.
OpenSPOT IP address 192.168.86.54.
See, and it tells you in the lower left there as well. Okay, and we could change profiles. So if you did, like I said earlier, and you're using profiles to switch different networks, which you don't really need to do, but if you're, taking that approach, you could switch profiles this way. So let's switch to profile 2.
OpenSPOT profile 2 ready. OpenSPOT connected to YSF Reflector 32592.
So you remember when I set up profile 2, I had it automatically connect to a YSF reflector, and that's what it just announced. Okay, now let's go back to profile 1.
OpenSPOT profile 1 ready.
Okay, now we're back to 1. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, I'm just going to unlink from this reflector real quick, because I think it drops us on ref 01.
OpenSPOT special connector active.
Okay, so now we're disconnected. Okay, now I'm just going to remind you, we're still on profile 1, which is D-Star radio connecting to a D-Star reflector. Okay.
OpenSPOT profile 1 ready.
Okay, now what I'm going to show you how to do is you could switch between D-Star reflectors and Yaesu reflectors and BrandMeister Talk Groups all from the radio, which is what I tend to do because it's just a lot easier to hold on to the radio and leave like the OpenSPOT on your dash or your desk or whatever and just key stuff in through the radio. Okay, so we're going to save a reflector ID in the call sign list. So let's get back there. Okay, so we're going to add one here. Now, when you're adding a reflector, let's type the name here first. Okay, so this is going to be Unlink. Okay, now to select a YSF reflector, Yaesu's System Fusion reflectors have a 5-digit number. So what you have to enter into the radio is YS and then the number of the reflector that you want to connect to. So Link is 32592. So we're going to enter YS and then 32592. And we're going to hit enter and then write that. Okay. Now let's test that out. Now we want to switch to Link. And remember, that's a Yaesu System Fusion, but right now we're using a D-Star radio. Okay, let me actually select it that time. Okay, now we're going to key the PTT.
OpenSPOT connected to YSF Reflector 32592.
Thank you. Your whole like I said, this is Kilo 4, Golf Yankee United.
And as luck would have it, there's an ongoing QSO. Now I'm going to unlink. Now the problem is, as you just saw there, if there's activity on the reflector and you send the control command, it's not going to do anything. It's not going to unlink. You're going to have to wait for a break in the conversation, which sometimes can be painfully long, before you can unlink from a reflector.
OpenSPOT special connector active.
Okay, special connector, which means we've unlinked, fortunately. Okay, so that's how you add a Yaesu System Fusion reflector. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to switch to a BrandMeister Talk group. Again, you could do this directly from the HT. Now, the only thing is BrandMeister and DMR is slightly more convoluted. So you're just going to have to add a couple more entries here. But basically, what you're going to want is an entry to connect you to that server, the BrandMeister server. Now, remember, I picked the US server, and the code on it was 3104. So you're going to have to add an entry that starts with BM. Stop laughing. You have to add BM and then the code 3104. Okay. And that's how you would connect to that server. And to disconnect from a server or a talk group, actually, I'm sorry, to unlink the talk group, you have to send the code 4000 that unlinks the talk group. Okay. And then you can save your talk groups, which are usually like some digit number, like a 2-digit number, 5-digit number, whatever. You could save those in the call sign list as well. So, just in case you forget it, or you could just key it directly in. Okay. So I'm going to show you how to add the entry to connect to the server, the unlink entry, and we'll do something like bayonet talk group. Okay. So first, let's enter the call sign that will connect you to the server. So menu 220. Okay, we're going to hit add. The name is going to be BM for BrandMeister 3104. And the call sign is going to be the same thing because that's the code. And we're going to write that. So that will connect us to the server. Now we're going to want to be able to unlink a talk group. So for that, we're going to want to send 4000. So we'll add another entry. It's for a BrandMeister unlink, and then the code is 4000. And we'll write that as well. Okay, so that'll connect us to the server, and it will unlink. And let's add one talk group. I'm going to add bayonet. And the code for bayonet is 31075. And we'll write that as well. Okay, so now let's demo some of this. Okay, so remember, the first step is connecting to the BrandMeister server. So that's BM 3104.
OpenSPOT connected to BrandMeister 3104.
And that just got us to the server. And it used that password, the self-care password, to connect to it. Now we're going to have to link to a talk group. So I'm going to select bayonet and connect. We'll try that again. Yeah, I forgot to mention. It does actually link, but it doesn't announce BrandMeister groups for some reason. Okay, so now let's unlink. You just get not linked when it unlinks. Okay, now if you just want to key in a talk group number, you can press and hold the up arrow and go to direct input. And here you could key a number in. So 91, I believe, is a pretty popular international talk group, and it's usually very active. So let's try that. Okay, so after waiting a little bit, we have some activity there.
TH-D75 Pro, se lo tengo. Hotspot4 Pro, se lo tengo. Unlink.
Okay, and there we dropped the link. So that's how you can get to the BrandMeister network and to link talk groups. Okay, so what are my thoughts on this technology? It's by no means a replacement for HF, but if you're a technician, you can easily get access to the entire world and make some DX contacts. Here in the Northeast, at least around me, there isn't a lot of activity. In places like the West Coast or the South, there's usually much more activity on repeaters. So what I like is being able to connect to a reflector in an area where there's a lot of activity anywhere in the world and from anywhere in the world. I think that this is where this technology shines. It's great for travel. So when it's difficult for you to take your ham radio equipment because you don't have enough room, or you're worried about security when you're flying, taking antennas and things like that, I think that this tiny hotspot and an HT, can entertain you while you're traveling. The TSA has never challenged me on an HT, but they have taken my KX2 apart and threw it and its battery down the conveyor belt at me. This might be a little bit easier to travel with. It's also useful when propagation is bad, or you're sitting in your car waiting to pick up your kids from a practice or something. It's a nice technology to play with. I think it's a nice addition to your ham radio bag of tricks. I had a ton of fun learning about it and setting up the hotspot and learning about D-Star Infusion and all this stuff. And if it sounds interesting to you, I would encourage you to dabble. It is fun. I made some contacts. I've had some really good conversations with folks around the world. If it seems fun to you, give it a shot. Okay, folks, I hope you enjoyed that. Please leave any questions in the comments below. Also, if you want me to do a walkthrough of the Kenwood TH-D75, let me know as well. It's turning out to be a fantastic HT. So with that, from the Shack of Joe, November 2 Delta, India, I wish you all good health and 73. Bye-bye.